Hey guys, it's Jessica, and today we are going to do a haul update. This is a haul from March of 2018. That was almost a year ago, 10 months ago. Crazy, right? But I was like, I almost skipped it, and I was like, no, because I want to be thorough, and really, I really know how I feel about these products now that it's been 10 months. Here's what I think is fun about this particular haul update. I have decluttered more than I kept, and I know exactly why I decluttered each one. So I'm excited to share that with you. I also did demos for the products that I do still have, that I do still like, so you'll get to see me applying those, and the rest I'll explain to you why I decluttered them. So if you enjoyed this style of video, I hope that you will subscribe, and don't forget to hit, I can't say this. Don't forget to hit that little notification bell, or actually I feel like on my phone it just pops up and says, want notifications? Like it's not even a bell anymore. Anyway, just in your face. So let's get into it. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. I'm technically still sick. I've had a horrible stomach bug, so I'm like trying to like get, you know, when you're in a rut after you've been sick, I think I'm still sick. Really, it's just a pounding headache, so I'm trying to like forget about it for a while and film, and it's actually making me feel a lot better. So, and also a shower. Showers always work. Let's dive in. The first item that I'm gonna try to do the haul in the exact order that I actually hauled them, because I just literally copied that description box. If you want to watch the original haul, I will link it. I was pregnant then. I was like 7 months pregnant. Oh, I did not know how much my life would change. So the first thing I actually love is from First Aid Beauty. It's their Coconut Skin Smoothie Priming Moisturizer. This is funny because I recently pulled this out maybe 2 months ago, and I've started using a ton all over again. So I really love this product. I treat it as a primer, and I don't usually use this as my only moisturizer. So like today I put on an e.l.f. moisturizer that is really nice. I'll link the one I'm using below. I just started using it like a week ago, and I'm like, oh, this moisturizer is amazing. It's new. Anyway, it's just a kind of beautiful light beige toned one. It's got this illuminating quality to it, but there's no obvious shimmer or glitter, anything like that. I just love this product. It makes my skin look glowy and dewy, but smooth, but it never looks crazy under foundation. If you're one that you want a little bit of glow, but you don't want it to be like in your face glow, this is a product for you. I don't feel like it makes my skin look oily or anything like that. It's just a really smooth, beautiful primer. It does have a super noticeable, very like sweet tart kind of a smell. I do like to pair this with a more pore filling smoothing primer on my nose. And that brings me to the next thing in my haul, which was the Tatcha Silk Canvas. So this was actually sent to me. Actually, I think this was too. But I think in the end I would have bought this because of all the hype that was around it, you know? But the good news here is that they now sell it in a mini size, and I think it's under 20 bucks. And I'm gonna tell you right now, this will go bad before I would ever use up the entire thing. So if you've been dying to try it, they now sell mini size. It's very new at Sephora. Buy it that way. Like if I ever rebought this, I would never buy the full size. You just don't need it. And it takes up a ton of room. For, again, you use like the teeny tiniest amount. So the way I use this is I just swirl my finger in it. I know it's sold with a little spatula. You could dig a little bit out. They say to use a rice-sized amount, the teeny tiniest amount. I'm not even sure that I even use that much. I'll tap it into my nose. I'll rub it into the areas kind of around my nose, near my under eye, that I feel like I need that kind of smoothing property. I'll even put a little bit on my chin. I feel like this is the weirdest product because it is so much more forgiving if you have drier skin. Because I feel like I've tried products like this, like the Tarte Poreless Primer, and I don't like that because I feel like it just emphasizes texture, but this doesn't. It's just slightly more moisturizing for something that's smoothing. It's very weird. So I was impressed with it. I've used it a ton. I have a teeny tiny size I got from I don't know what, and I travel with that all of the time. I love this. By the way, everything I'm wearing on my face, since you're not gonna see everything, I will list and link it below, like my lip product, foundation, everything. So a foundation I'm not wearing because I got rid of it is the Rimmel Breathable foundation. I think it was called their Lasting Finish Breathable. I got rid of it because the shade match wasn't perfect, but beyond that, I mean, I could have mixed with things. I do that all the time anyway. But beyond that, I just felt like it didn't provide a ton of coverage, but it also didn't really make my skin look like healthy skin. If I'm going for something that has lighter coverage, which honestly most days I do, I love BB creams, I don't want it to emphasize texture and make me look older. And I felt like the Rimmel one just looked like foundation on my skin, and yet it didn't have higher coverage. So I'm like, well, if I'm gonna go for something that looks like foundation, I'm gonna go for something higher coverage. Does that make sense? So I just decided in the end, I'm like, you know what? I'm not reaching for it for a reason. I don't really love the way it makes my skin look, so I just passed it on. I don't think it's absolutely terrible, but like I said, there are better light coverage things out there that look more like skin. If you're curious about my top 5 recommendations for that, both drugstore and more expensive, I can link my video where I focused on skin-like foundations down below. Next up became a very, very favorite. That made no sense, but you know what I mean. It's the Catrice Liquid Camouflage Concealer. Oh, this was one that when I first tried it, I was like, wow, it's pretty good. It's got pretty decent coverage, but it was also really creamy and easy to blend. It was like a very thin formula. Really kind of an odd combination of things that I'd never really tried before. I've just fallen in love with this. Now, sometimes I'll wear it alone. Like today, I applied it to my under eye and a little bit out from there. I just used my pink L'Oreal sponge to blend it in. I blended it in with the brush. It does great with the brush as well. I just feel like this is one of those higher coverage concealers that's a lot more weightless. You know, if you don't like those thick, heavy, like I'm talking IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Under Eye kinds, I think you would enjoy this because it does have higher coverage. Again, it's not completely gone, but I do feel like it's nice. I need to set it. I don't think it's like the greasiest or most crease-worthy product, but I do think it does crease a bit, so I do like to set it. I actually like to mix this one with another concealer, the Flower Beauty Light Illusion. I feel like those two, the Flower Beauty one's more emollient and even creamier, and then the Catrice one, it has higher coverage, so I feel like with both of those together, it's like the most perfect concealer. But I really like the Catrice one. It's really inexpensive, and it honestly am starting to run low. I had to shake it up to get it to not look disgusting, but I'm definitely running low. So I need to buy this again, and I definitely will. I wear the shade number 10 Porcelain. So next up in my haul was the Essence Banana like Brighten Up Powder. I know so many people love this, and I feel like I really jumped the gun, and right away, like I tried it, I'm like, wow, it adds a little bit of coverage. It definitely sets your under eye, but it made my under eyes look so old and crepey. But I know other people love it. So I don't want to write it off as like it is the worst powder ever, and I feel like in that video I was being kind of dramatic about it, but I just didn't like it on mine. I have noticeable like little crinkles right there, and then I'm starting to get crow's feet, and it just didn't help. So if you know you're like me, you might not like it. But again, it's pretty inexpensive. So if you're looking for something, you just need something to set the under eye, it definitely brightens a bit. It's not the worst thing in the world, and it's certainly inexpensive, but it's certainly not one I needed to keep, and so I did pass it on. Next, I tried the Profusion Mixed Metals Peach Palette. The colors blended away. I got rid of that one as well. I have a lot of Profusion products. If you'd like to see me do like a Profusion kind of get ready with me trying a bunch of their products, I'm certainly willing to do it. I've been kind of hoarding them in a pile to do so, but I feel like their palettes are good for the money. You get a lot of colors, and for the most part, you know, you'll swatch them. The swatches look great, but I just feel like a lot of times it's more colors than what I need, and they kind of blend away. And I need shadows to stay in place just a little bit better than that. So I felt like this one, especially in the look I did, the look ended up okay, but I had to work extra hard because it did blend well, but it almost blended too well. That's a weird problem to have, I know. Next was the product, I gave away some but used up another. It's the L'Oreal like Longwear Infallible eyeliners. These were amazing pencil eyeliners. You had to sharpen them. So creamy, so black, stayed in place. I love them. I recommend them all the time. The L'Oreal Infallible ones and the Milani ones. I love both. I can link both below. They're both around the same price point. Honestly, they feel like the same formula. I ended up, I think in my original haul, I had like 5 of the L'Oreal pencils that were sent to me. I kept the black one, used it completely up. The other colors I eventually passed on because I don't use color eyeliner very often. So, but they are incredible. The formula is incredible. I could see myself repurchasing the black one. I've got a lot to work through right now, but it's on my list and I recommend it all the time for a reason. Next up is one I still have. It's the Essence Cushion Eyeliner. This is a very bizarre potted liquid-y eyeliner. So it's in a pot. So at first I thought, oh, it's gonna be like a gel or a cream eyeliner. No, it really is a liquid eyeliner. This cushion inside is soaked with the liquid liner, and so I take a liner brush and I dip it into the cushion, and then I just start applying it the way I would apply honestly a cream or gel liner. I feel like this is very black. It stays in place. It can get very crunchy on your brush, so make sure you wipe off or clean your brush right when you're done using it for the day, because it definitely like hardens on your brush more so than a gel or cream liner does. But because of that, it really stays in place on your eyes. Now, I ended up having to clean up my wing a little bit with a just regular liquid liner because I don't feel like this is as easy to control, but I think it's a good product. Do I need to buy this again? Probably not. I tried it. I think it's good, but it's a little bit more work than I like to do. Next was a mascara, the L'Oreal Superstar. It was like one of those two-step mascaras. The fiber side I was interested in because it didn't have a white look to it. It was actually like a dark color, which I liked because sometimes when I use white fibery like mascara primers, I feel like sometimes it can kind of show through in the mascara and that just looks weird in certain lighting. So I appreciated that. I ended up, you know, I used it for probably a month, maybe even a month and a half, kind of off and on. I felt like it was just so-so. I didn't feel the need to recommend it. And once it was dried up, I was like, okay, you know, so I don't feel the need to repurchase. It was just okay. It blackened, it held a curl for most of the day, but it didn't have the amount of volume that I typically like. Next was the Color Neutralizer Mattifying Powder from Catrice. Again, a really inexpensive product, and I love a lot from Catrice, but again, this just emphasized any like peach fuzz I had on my face. It just looked like a powder on the skin. So I felt like it did provide a little bit of coverage, so maybe it did neutralize your skin just slightly, and like I like to focus it when I used it on my cheeks where I have a little bit of redness. Especially if I feel like the foundation's not as high coverage as I like. But really, instead of that, I'd rather just use a powder foundation. They have even more coverage. I feel like if I apply a powder foundation with a moist sponge, it can really look more like skin and less like powder. So I didn't feel like I had a place for that in my collection. I didn't feel like I would use it enough, so I eventually passed it on. The Butter London Blush Gelee, you saw in that video, I did make the mistake of applying it over a powder. I'd already powdered my skin with that Catrice, and then I tried to put on this like creamy liquid blush. It didn't work. I tried it the subsequent days without powder on, you know what I mean, first before powder, and it did kind of the same thing. It didn't stick as much, but it wasn't as easy to blend around. It just wasn't my cup of tea. Honestly, if you are looking for a creamy or liquid blush that blends like a dream, you don't have to worry about it getting stuck. The Flower Beauty blush bombs are unbelievable, unbelievable, unbelievable. I use them almost every day. I travel with it almost exclusively. I just love it so much. So I'll link those below. They're way better. But speaking of blush, I did keep this Catrice one, the Strobing blush. I had 3 different shades. This is the only one I ended up keeping. It's in the shade Mrs. Amber Brown. I think I donated the other 2 because this is just such a pretty blush. I have it on today. It's one of those shades that it's definitely peachy, but it has this slight warm brown tone to it that I feel like you can kind of do that draping technique where you kind of blend your blush back into where your bronzer would be, and it just kind of works as both blush and bronzer. And so it makes getting ready really quick for me in the morning. I've used this a ton. I feel like it stays in place all day. It's just a really pretty shade that I think would be flattering on a lot of people. I'm not sure why they called it a strobing blush because it's not a shimmery, glowy blush at all. I mean, there's this like lighter shade that I guess is kind of kind of glowy, but not really. It's more of a satin. So what you're seeing on my cheeks is a highlighter from Jouer that I'll link below. That's not what it's not the blush. So strobing blush is an odd name for this, but I love the blush. Next I got rid of, but it was a really good product, the Essence Make Me Glow liquid highlighters. I loved that. I used it a good amount, but over time, I have way too many of those exact same kinds of products. So when I decluttered recently on my own, I'm looking at all my like liquid and cream highlighters and I'm like, okay, I have like 15. I don't need that many. So I only kept like 3, and that was one that just ended up getting decluttered, not because it was bad, just because of sheer, you know, I had way too much of it. So it was a great one though. If you're looking for one, it blends beautifully. It looks amazing on the skin. It doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't emphasize texture, and it was a gorgeous formula. Another one I decluttered, the Essence Soft Contouring Lip Liners. They were just drier. There are plenty of lip liners out there that are way creamier than this. Again, the L'Oreal lip liners, I will link. They're so creamy. One of my favorites of all time. I would recommend those for sure over the Essence one. They're way too dry. And yes, the L'Oreal ones are probably double the price of the Essence ones, but they're still certainly way more inexpensive than like really expensive ones from Sephora. So I'll link the L'Oreal ones below. They are way better than the Essence. I also got rid of the lip product I use, the Buxom Vava Plump. This was not a bad lip product, but again, out of the sheer volume of lip products I had, it ended up being Decluttered because it was good. I didn't love the shade I used. It was a pink, and I like pinks, but it was just maybe a little bit too pink. But it did plump slightly, or at least it kind of gave that feeling that it did. But honestly, in the buxom range, I would rather reach for more of their sheer plumping glosses. Like, what do they call them? Like their full-on lip creams, I think are what they're called. Those are just a little bit more comfortable to wear. They definitely have a tingle, but I prefer those over these Vava Plump, and I didn't really understand what the difference was. I mean, maybe the Vava Plumps are meant to be more pigmented, like they had more color to them. I'm not sure, but it just was one that I liked it, but I didn't feel like I need it, and I was never reaching for it, and that told me it was time to go. So those were all of the products from that haul that was new to me or newer to me. There were other things in my description box that I had linked in that original video, but those were ones that I had mentioned in the video. I'm just pulling this in to use, but I've already owned this. I already know how I feel about it, if that makes sense. So I hope that you enjoyed the video. I hope you'll come say hi to me on social media. It is JamBeauty89 everywhere. I love interacting with you guys over there. Sorry, brushes, geez, attitude. I feel like I was rushing through this, but my head is pounding. I need to go like lay down because it's like, ooh. So I'd love it if you gave this video a thumbs up and subscribe before you leave if you enjoy this style of video, and I'll catch you guys in my next one. Bye.